Good Friday morning. I'm Tyler DeRosa, checking your top stories this morning. Right now, a major cleanup is still underway after severe weather on the Cape. And this morning, we're learning it was actually two separate tornadoes that touched down. Harwich was one of the areas that was hit the hardest. Residents may be without power through most of tomorrow. Eversource is working to restore electricity to businesses first. Governor Baker toured the damaged areas yesterday. Many are hoping federal money will help the areas with the most damage. Breaking overnight, the Boston Fire Department jumping into action after a man falls over a ledge near the MBTA tracks. That forced the T to shut down power to the tracks. It happened between the JFK and Andrew stations along Dorchester Ave. The fire department says the man fell about 25 feet. He was rescued by tech crews and was conscious when he was taken to the hospital. Also breaking, American rapper A$AP Rocky will remain jailed in Sweden until his next court date. The Swedish prosecutor's office has charged the rapper, whose real name is Rakim Meyers, with assault. President Trump has spoken to Swedish leadership asking for the rapper's release. Swedish authorities say they will not be swayed by international pressure. This morning, President Trump is responding to the hours of testimony by the former special counsel, Robert Mueller, making it known he did not clear the president of any crime. Mueller took questions from two House committees. Democrats tried to get him to say that the Trump campaign conspired with the Russians and the president broke the law to cover it up. In one exchange, Mueller said the president's written answers to his office, which were under oath, were not necessarily truthful.
Director Mueller, isn't it fair to say that the president's written answers were not only inadequate and incomplete because he didn't answer many of your questions, but where he did, his answers showed that he wasn't always being truthful?
I would say, generally.
President Trump is reacting this morning, saying it was a good day for him.
This was one of the worst performances in the history of our country. So you know that very well. But I don't think anybody could have done a good performance. He had no material.
House Speaker Nancy Pelosi did not say if Democrats will begin impeachment proceedings. U.S. intelligence is confirming North Korea has fired off more projectiles. They are believed to be short-range missiles that landed in the ocean. The launch appears to be similar to the one in May when the North fired two missiles that traveled about 260 miles. Japan's defense minister says the launches are probably a violation of UN Security Council resolutions. Right now, we're learning new details about a deadly crash in New Hampshire. It happened on the Everett Turnpike in Merrimack yesterday. We've learned the victim is a 31-year-old woman from Lowell. State police say that she lost control of her SUV, veered off the road, and hit a tree. She was pronounced dead at the scene. The four men accused in a brazen attack at the T station have been indicted. The video shows the attack at the Quincy T station after a Bruins game back in May. All four suspects are charged with assault and battery causing serious injury. Both victims are recovering. Superior Court arraignment dates have not been set. A surprising amount of parking spaces in the greater Boston area are not being used. The Metropolitan Area Planning Council surveyed 200 apartment buildings across 14 communities over the last 3 years. The agency found that 30% of the spaces went unused, even in the overnight hours when most people are presumably home. The report also found that at a quarter of the sites, less than half the parking was occupied. The council says the money used for the spaces could have been allocated elsewhere. This morning, Worcester's Indian Lake is closed because of high bacteria count. The city says it is working with environmental health specialists to monitor the water quality. Residents are asked to stay out of the water. The lake will reopen when levels are back to normal. More shark scares on the Cape and another beach closure. Swimmers were pulled out of the water at Head of the Meadow Beach in Truro after two sharks were seen about 50 yards offshore. The swimmers were allowed back in an hour later. A pretty amazing catch for a Hamilton teenager. Even more amazing, it was her first one. This is a 700-pound bluefin tuna that 18-year-old Devin Zellick reeled in with the help of her father and a friend. They were fishing off the coast of Gloucester and spent 10 hours bringing the fish in. The tuna fought so hard that it dragged them 8 miles.
It was exhausting. I was super dehydrated. We were all exhausted at the end of the day. It was really tiring. You know, I'm not the strongest in the group, so it was definitely really challenging to reel it in.
The group had to take turns because it was fighting so hard, I could only imagine. After they got it in on the boat, they measured it at 106 inches. And finally, controversy during the series finale between the Red Sox and Rays. An unusual position change from the Rays brought an official protest from Sox manager Alex Cora. Cora argued over what he believed was an illegal substitution. That protest is now in the hands of the MLB, who will decide if it will be upheld. The Sox did end up losing this one 3-2, and they will be opening up a series with the Yankees today.